Also developing this morning, about 20 minutes from now on Capitol Hill, the ceremony leading up to today's speech from Afghan President Ashraf Ghani will begin. His address to a joint meeting of Congress starts at 11 o'clock Eastern Time. It's 8 o'clock Pacific. You have to go back more than a decade to find the last time an Afghan president made a speech like this. Before the troop surge, before their first democratic elections, when Hamid Karzai spoke in 2004. With me now, California Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff. He's a member of Ghani's Escort Committee. He's also a ranking member on the House Intelligence Committee. Congressman, what a pleasure to see you.
Good to see you.
So you were there when Karzai made his address. How do you compare things?
Well, it'll be interesting to see what President Ghani has to say about how things have changed since President Karzai came to Washington. I think he's been leading a pretty impressive early effort, both in terms of combining his work with Abdullah in this very unique coalition government, but also in making outreach to Pakistan, and I think reestablishing some confidence that the United States has in the Afghan leadership, which had seriously eroded during Karzai's regime. And, you know, people like Abdullah have been marginalized, even though they're very popular and they've had a lot of a base of support. But talk to me about the decision to extend deployment of all 9,800 troops through the end of the year. Do you think more should stay? Is this okay? I think this extension makes a lot of sense. It will help consolidate some of the gains that the Afghan government is trying to make. It will help put pressure on the Taliban and we hope compel them to come to the negotiating table. There have been talks for a very long time, but they have yet to materialize. And I think to the degree that this shows a continuing commitment on the part of the United States, that increases the prospect for these negotiations. From an intelligence perspective, having that larger military footprint gives us the ability to do better intelligence, to have more eyes on threats, and there are still some very potent threats to the United States in Afghanistan. So from that perspective, I think it also makes a lot of sense.
And you talk about the threats from within Afghanistan. You know, there's a whole Taliban issue, but then there are an increasing number of reports that ISIS is getting involved in Afghanistan. What does that tell you? And now we have two groups that are potentially extremely dangerous, not only for Afghanistan, but for much of the world.
It certainly says that ISIS is expanding its influence really around much of the globe. You see ISIS franchises popping up. You see groups claiming to have an affiliation with ISIS that we're still trying to confirm. Some ISIS may have command and control over, others may be acting very much on their own, but this is a burgeoning problem. ISIS is, within the terrorism world, evidently the brand to be associated with. It'll be interesting to see, and obviously we have a lot of reason to watch this very carefully, whether they get any kind of foothold in Afghanistan. There are a lot of reasons why that's going to be more difficult for them than in other ungoverned spaces.
Congressman Adam Schiff, always a pleasure to see you. Thanks for being with me this morning.
Thanks, Jose.
As we await